The black one is the trend of the real price. And then we have two more trends. One is the trend with MNAB1, like the worst case scenario that you see that the red is like almost like touching. It's like almost confirming that this trend that we put is correct. And here we have the trend with the MNAB of 3. So what happened if the MNAB is 1, the worst case scenario, and what happened if the MNAB is 3, and also the price of Bitcoin. And if we follow the worst case scenario, we can see, for example, that by the end of the year, probably we can have something 370, something like that. But if we expand in 2026, probably by that time of 2026, we can have a stock price at around 657. And this is the worst case scenario, like the MNAB.
1x MNAB, right?
1x MNAB. Okay. So that's the worst case scenario. So and we follow this is a trend based on the real data of strategy that is refreshing every day, and it's based on MNAB. Welcome to another episode of Bitcoin Treasury Company Report. Here I am with Marco Battistoshi and with his friend Andrea. Welcome, guys. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, Fernando. Thanks again for inviting us. And yes, today another episode with a special guest. Andre, you want to introduce yourself?
Please.
Yeah, guys. Yes. Nice to meet you all. I've been talking with Marco about Bitcoin for a while now, and it's nice to be part of this. I've been in the Bitcoin space for a while, so happy to share, like some insights about Bitcoin treasury companies and Bitcoin in general.
And welcome to the episode number 2. And by the way, the episode we recorded last week with Marco had more views in our YouTube channel than the episode I recorded with Andrew Webley. So it seems that this this kind of podcast that we have every weekend is taking off. And by the way, we are going to talk now about MicroStrategy and the S&P 500, and we predicted this 2 weeks ago. So follow our show, subscribe to our channel, follow the guys in social media, because we are doing something good. So Marco, what do we have for today?
Yeah, I think mainly we want to cover, the MSTR non-included in the S&P 500, and just to give more context to what happened and why also it happened, because maybe for some investors, some people on X, this should be some kind of shocker, whereas for people that are actively researching and also seeing the history of the index and other companies in the past, it's totally normal. Even more so for a business model of strategy, which is still very controversial for traditional finance, and even more so for the global benchmark index that is the S&P. So in my view, it was almost impossible to get included at the first chance. And again, similarly, Tesla in the past was rejected. I think Robinhood, that was included yesterday, has been rejected 4 times. Because of the case with GameStop in 2021, because of some other issues, etc. So I think again, my general overview was it will get included for sure, because already strategies, I think 96 per market cap in the US equity market, is one of the fastest growing company over the last 5 years. So again, all the criteria are met, but again, hoping for getting included on the first slot was for me 5% chance. Now we have the second slot in December, which again for me will be very unlikely. So my target, I mean my main idea would be Q1. I don't know when, but I think in Q1 the chances are much higher. So and again, once it will be done, I think will be 10, 15 billions of passive flows, maybe 10. Let's stay conservative. 10 billions flows that will get inside of strategy in a passive index form, meaning new blood for sale or for the team to keep pushing their own strategy. So yeah, I think it's totally normal, and I would have been much more surprised if we were included. What's your take, guys, on that?
Let's start with Andrea. Andre
Yeah.
or Andrea?
Andre is fine. Andre is fine.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, Marco, I totally agree with you. I think even on prediction markets, you could see that the chances of being included in the first opportunity was really, really low. To be honest, it's such an innovative business that I think it will take some time. On top of that, right now we are seeing a trend in digital asset treasury companies and Bitcoin treasury companies where their premiums to NAV start to decrease. So the situation is a little bit less shiny than it was a few months ago or last year, right? So I think there is additional. I would say they will take a little bit more time to test how these type of companies will perform. I was not expecting it either, but I'm quite positive on the next year as well.
Yes, we were talking about last week, and as I always said, that Wall Street and the traditional finance, they don't understand what strategy is doing. They don't understand where the numbers are coming, and they are like taking care of the investors that invest in this index. So I think that I agree with Marco. We said 2 weeks ago that was not going to be included in this week. And probably at the end of the year, another no for strategy. But I already said strategy doesn't need, even though now with the MNAP going down and the price, and some people in the X groups complaining about Sailor again taking the ATM and doing this stuff. Even though with all this, strategy doesn't need Wall Street, doesn't need the S&P. Sooner or later, the S&P will need strategy, will need the Bitcoin treasury companies. And now we are in a moment with probably most of them, the MNAV is going down for most of them, and people is hesitant. But again, we need to understand that they are playing another game. Their goal is to raise capital. Their goal is to buy more Bitcoin. And the value for the shareholders who really understand these companies is to have more Bitcoin per share, not the price. Because at the end of the day, it's going to go up when Bitcoin explodes. And the profits that people is going to take from these companies are going to be much more than from Bitcoin. That's my point. The dinosaurs of Wall Street don't understand. They need to be humble. They need to learn again the new finance that is coming. And when they understand it and when they need it, they will come back to pick up a strategy. That's my point.
Yeah, Fernando, and I think also it's very useful to think about incentives. And I think Jeff Walton, I mean, he is the face of the community following MSTR. I think he was one of the first went publicly on YouTube, on X with Ryan to discuss about strategy. And I think the whole idea is that strategy is a long-term exposure over Bitcoin, and has been the one and probably the only one over the last 5 years that consistently in a reasonable time frame beat Bitcoin, and probably it will be the only one that will do it over the next 5 years. And still it's uncertain. It can also be underperforming Bitcoin, so that's why we always say buy Bitcoin in cold storage, and you can completely avoid the Bitcoin equity space. But if you want to be inside this fascinating industry, I think the only legit investment that can be proven to be better than Bitcoin is strategy so far. So we need to take some time now to also the evolution of strategy itself in 2025 with the preferred offering. We try to reduce also the ATM exposure. So far is not yet completed because they still rely a lot on the Class A ATM shares just to raise capital. But it's in the foreseeable future, I see a decrease of the need on the ATM and more via the preferred. So they just launched those instruments beginning of 2025. It's not 10 years that it's around this strategy, it's few months. So we need to give time to the market to understand what they're buying, to compare risk adjusting with other companies. And the market needs time, especially, those money market fund with a lot of money, these hedge fund manager, those, also the pension fund, etc. We need to give those people time. And it's not just on X, just 1 week. It seems like 1 year. We need time. So I think it's normal. some price correction, and yeah, I think also the community needs to just relax a bit and go back to first principle and think if you're still believing in Bitcoin and in strategy and what they're doing with the asymmetry, with the traditional finance, and with the how money works. If the thesis is still in play, then keep the positioning strategy. If you think it's no longer the case, then adjust something, but not because the price is not as you want it to be that you need to exit a trade. I think that where is the frustration of most people on X.
Yes, I think the same, and I think that when you are playing with these instruments, I hosted a guy in a podcast. His name is Peter Duan. He's very active in the irresponsibly long MSTR community, and when he explained everything, he said, first, to buy Bitcoin, you need to at least study 100 hours of Bitcoin. Then you buy, and then you understand what you are buying. After you understood, bought Bitcoin, and stay a while into Bitcoin, then you need to study another 100 hours about how a strategy works, how the Bitcoin Treasury company works. And after that, you need to buy. And you need to understand that this is not a trade of like a exit simple. It's a long-term game. It's same as Bitcoin. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And be ready to face volatility. But I want to share one thing that is, let me share the screen. For those people that is complaining, when in doubt, come here. So 1 year return, 181%. Let me know which investment give you 181%. Of course, the 3 months is -9. And probably most of the people is frustrated or are frustrated because the price of Bitcoin is not falling. The price of Bitcoin is either growing and go like sideways, and the price of strategy is falling. But just zoom out, study this data, the things that we talk about every Saturday, and relax. That's the point.
I think in general, yeah, I totally agree with you guys. I think, if you are on X all day, you're kind of used to a very short time frame, but you really need to, what Bitcoin teaches us is to kind of like have a long-term approach, right? If you jump into the shiny new things, that's the best way to underperform pretty much anything. So I think what strategy is doing, and we discussed with Marco as well, is basically reinventing financial services as well in a world that is where Bitcoin plays a central role. So if you think that Bitcoin will play a central role in the future, in the next 5, 10, 20 years or more, then strategy is really building financial products around Bitcoin, and it's reinventing the world of finance in a world where Bitcoin is at the center of everyone's lives. So that's the big innovation, in my opinion.
Yeah, Andre, it's correct. And again, it's if people are frustrated, it's because probably they enter in the wrong position, and it's totally fine. And again, it happens also, I think, for us all when in the past we entered for the first time. So I remember, buying, I don't know, at a price that I was 100% sure it was the bottom, and then I realized, the famous meme, of I bought the dip, and then the market keeps dipping, and then I bought the dipping, and then the dip of the dip of the dipping. So it happens the same in the past with Bitcoin. It happens the same with most of tech stocks. It happens the same with everything that has volatility, uncertainty about the future, and up potentiality. And so it happens also with strategy. It's a no-brainer. Of course it is. And again, it's important to point it out that in the 3 months or even 6 months or even 1 year, the correlation is not 100%. MSTR is affected by so many other factors that might be independently correlated with Bitcoin. And again, you can see these divergences over the shorter time frames. But again, over the long term, I think it's still valuable thesis to think that the strategy has the cards to outperform Bitcoin. For how long or how much, I have no idea. And I still think Bitcoin is far superior technology, is far better than strategy if you have it in cold storage, if you have to use it as a saving technology. But if you want to play around, if you want to have some more exposure, I think it's still a nice play. I don't know, Fernando. I cannot see you anymore on the screen. Yeah, we can,
Yes.
but I think you're. I cannot see you on the camera. Maybe it's off. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Maybe we move to the other topic about also the other equities that are suffering, quite a lot recently. So maybe I just share a screen for one company that I think most people completely forgot, but for me is very crucial to point it out. So Andre, tell me when you can see it.
Yeah. Can see it.
Yeah. So this is the chart of Cooler Technologies. Cooler was one of these the first companies adopting the Bitcoin strategy back in I think was November 2024. So it's almost 1 year, and we can see here they started the strategy back in November 24 at around $3.5 per share. Then again, it was one of the first. So the stock ran like crazy because it was uh, very very few companies back then alongside strategy. There was probably similar, then started also Metaplanet, and then the miners, and then that's it. So we saw that the price skyrocketed. So it went from 3 to 42, and then actually I think Cooler is like the anticipator of what can happen usually on the Bitcoin equities, on the small equities. So we saw this amazing spike, and then the distribution, and every time it failed to break out, it went down, it went down, it went down. So now price is at 4, which basically is the same price as they started before of the Bitcoin trend. So I think for me, this gives me two main ideas. The first one is all the companies that are small, tiny, that they don't have any market, advantage, probably will face similar consequences of Cooler on terms of price action. And again, it might be very painful because if you buy the dip here, you buy the dip, I don't know, you bought at, 20, then at 18, then at 9, then you bought back at 10. Now you're at 4. So it's very, very, dangerous to buy the dip on Bitcoin equities. And I think most of other equities might face similar price action in the future. So I think Cooler is now is being completely forgotten, but it gives a clear path on the tiny and small micro cap LBEs that are in the space. And if they are not able to find different way to raise capital, I think it will be very similar price chart, which is horrific and very painful. So I don't know, guys, if you follow this stock or if you have other one to
Yeah.
share, but I think this one is pretty compelling.
Yeah, no, Marco, I totally agree with you, and that's why I think people are really pissed now in general, at seeing the market situation. You always have to be careful when you enter a trade. I think Bitcoin Treasury companies in general, it's a valid business model, but you always have to distinguish between the ones that just want to ride the wave of the trend. They maybe have a failing business, so they announce, I'm gonna raise money to buy Bitcoin. The stock goes up, they dump on you, and then they barely even buy anything. Or in general, there is no real innovation in what they're doing, but they're just trying to ride this trend and it's an extractive way of doing things, right? So be very careful. That's why we always have to distinguish strategy from others as well. There are other legitimate Bitcoin treasury companies, in my opinion. But when you see a new low cap, low liquidity stock that announces a digital asset treasury strategy, be very, very careful. I mean, if you want to gamble, that's a pure gamble, but that's no different, in my opinion, than buying a shitcoin and hoping for 100x. So no crying in the casino. Then if you want to, like focus on what's the real innovation in this, then focus on the real companies such as strategies and others, in my opinion.
Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, because now I had to refresh.
Fernando, you're back.
I don't know how it's gonna because this is live, so I don't know how it's gonna be recorded because I had to refresh my browser, disconnect the camera that I don't know why stopped recording, and now I'm recording with my camera from my laptop, but looks that the microphone is working, so that's the most interesting. It's recording 100% from the laptop, so that's the point. It was a test, but yes, I agree with Andre say, and we were saying this a lot. You need to understand these companies, and you need to separate these companies that are really doing a Bitcoin treasury strategy, like we can see MetaPlanet, or Capital V, or the Smarter Web company that you know the people that is working in their Bitcoin treasury strategy. And then the other companies that say, okay, we are buying Bitcoin, or we are going to adopt a Bitcoin treasury strategy just to pump their stock and then do a rug pull the same as a shitcoin. And I love the phrase of Andre, don't cry at the casino.
Yeah, never. If you enter a position hoping to do a quick 100x, I mean, that's fine, but you know how things can play out if you are on the wrong side of the trade, right? That's always the case.
Yes, totally agree on that. And one question that I wanted to ask, of course, we think in the long run, but in the long term, but what can we expect after a strategy not being added to the S&P 500 with the price in the next weeks, with the price of strategy? But by the way, yesterday the price was up almost 3%. When I woke up and I saw my phone that the price went up, I said probably they included, but they didn't include it. What can we expect talking about price? Of course, no financial advice.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? So, in my opinion, in general, the outlook, like if we think about like Bitcoin, the market I think is going to be very, very choppy for the next few weeks, in my opinion, and this will reflect, of course, on strategy as well.
I think
to
we
be
lost
honest,
Andrea.
Yeah, I think we lost Andre.
That's the magic of
beauty of
live.
live, no, Andre.
That's the beauty of live. So people can see that we are real and we are doing this live.
That we have AI and robotics, but still we lag some Wi-Fi connection sometimes.
Yeah, I think that there is a problem with my camera. I don't know what problem is, but I will try to fix it because tonight I have a podcast. I have another live. I had a stream in the morning, and now I am having the stream now, and I will have a stream in the night. Let me adapt a little bit. So
anyway, Fernando, I keep going in the meantime of Andre coming back.
Yes.
So this is the price chart of strategy of, let's say, the last 1 year. So this is the last 1 year of strategy price action. So my idea is if we remove the massive spike that we had in 2-3 days in November, let's say from 19 to 20 seconds. So for 3 days, we have this massive spike. If we remove the spike, considering euphoria or considering like craziness, I mean, we can say that strategy is down from, kind of this range, which is 449, that is a double top, so 450. So strategy is now down 27%, which is, again, it's a lot, but it's much less than if we consider the absolute top that it stays for like few hours or maybe even less for like few minutes, that is minus 41%. So already this one should give more peace of mind for some investor. Because if you bought here in the gamma squeeze, in the up squeeze of any stock, it happens also with Metaplanet, it happens with the Capital B, etc. It's pure gambling. When you see one stock going plus 25 or 40% is pure gambling, and you should expect something to correct after. So again, it's minus 27%, which is still a lot, because Bitcoin from the top is, let me see, is down, like, let's say, in the ballpark of 12 to 11%. So strategy is much lower. But if we see overall the price action, it doesn't seem so bearish, We have a double top. It's like redistributing, because many people were thinking about the S&P inclusion. But again, we have been in $230 3 times in March and in April of 2025. And from those lows, we are up 40%. So again, I don't see too much why to be too much bearish today on MSTR price. Probably we need to face more weeks of uncertainty, coming back to your question, Fernando. But overall, I think that the distribution is almost done, and now we need to see one positive. It's enough to see few positive catalysts on strategy, or even more so on Bitcoin, maybe to reverse the trend and to see better prices in the next, probably by the end of the year.
Yes, can I share my screen now? Let me share something interesting, because now there are two Italians against me, so we are gonna try to bring Diego, my friend, my business partner, the other Bitcoin Libertarian, and who is the one who is more on the data side, on the analytics side. So this is something that we created with our guys at the office. And it's interesting, because this graphic is basically the trend. We put the trend with the historical data of strategy starting in January 2023. And we see here the peak that you talk about. And when you see you do the zoom out, you see that the down is not so big. So it's something that is normal. So the trend is super up. This is the green, the red, the black one is the trend of the real price. And then we have two more trends. One is the trend with MNAB1, like the worst case scenario, that you see that the red is like almost like touching. It's like almost confirming that this trend that we put is correct. And here we have the trend with the MNAB of 3. So what happened if the MNAB is 1, the worst case scenario, and what happened if the MNAB is 3, and also the price of Bitcoin. And if we follow the worst case scenario, we can see, for example, that by the end of the year, probably we can have something 370, something like that. But if we expand in 2026, probably by that time of 2026, we can have a stock price at around 657. And this is the worst case scenario. Like the MNAB.
1x MNAB, right?
1x MNAB.
Okay.
So that's the worst case scenario. So, and we follow this is a trend based on the real data of strategy that is refreshing every day, and it's based on MNAB trends. Of course, the MNAB is suffering a drop, like from that November crazy spike. We are going down. Now the MNAB is 1.31, is falling. But again, even in the worst case scenario with MNAB equal 1, we are going to be up. So I don't care. I think that people is overreacting. And when you see the data and when you see the long term, that is the way that you need to study this kind of stocks. You just need to hold. That's the only thing. And an interesting analysis that we do with this graphic is every time the black curve is over the black line is the time that I don't sell, but you don't have to buy because it's overpriced. In the time when it's under this black line, it's a time that no financial advice is good to buy. So probably now we have an opportunity to buy strategy in the cheap. And of course, then if we hold it, even in the worst case scenario, that is 1 MNAV, talking about 1 year time, we can talk about 702. That is 100%. It's double than the price we have today. Of course, things can fail. These are estimations, but again, we cannot talk about bearish things. So I don't think that we are bearish.
Never bearish. But let me say this chart you showed is amazing. Like if you can share it with me later, I'll take a look. But in general, what I wanted to say before my connection decided to leave me standing was that so in general, like Bitcoin is a asset that, you know, the price movement of Bitcoin is very violent in general. So you have these moments where the market is choppy and you feel like nothing is happening, and then boom, it reprices in like few days or even few hours, right? So it's an asset that you want to hold rather than trade, in my opinion. And the same goes for strategy. I think right now it's a good time to accumulate for the reason that you were saying. I think the MNAV, the premium to NAV that is trading at is quite fair. Actually, might even be under appreciated, in my opinion. So it's a good time to probably DCA and accumulate a strategy and wait for this violent repricing that, as always with Bitcoin and with strategy, of course, as well, it's something that always happens. And as Bitcoiners, you never want to miss the exposure, because this asset is something that few people understand still, even though we are in our bubble, you know, we're all Bitcoiners. So it seems that it's the most obvious trade of our generation. But the reality is most of the people still don't even know what this thing is, right? So the more adoption, the more people understand it, the more it will reprice compared to USD, of course, but compared to gold as well. So I never want to trade neither Bitcoin or strategy, but I want to DCA, accumulate, especially in moments like this where it seems that nothing is happening, and then all of a sudden you wake up and everything happened while you were sleeping.
That's what we say. That's why we always repeat. You need to, first of all, you need to DCA, but using these tools, you can see that again, that the moments that is good to buy and the moments that is good not to sell, not to buy.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. These moments you need to hustle. You need to probably, instead of going for a vacation, stay at home, or instead of going for a fancy dinner, just eat in a no so fancy restaurant and accumulate this money for the moments like now where it's on sale. And by the way, this graphic, that's why I want to bring, but he doesn't like the camera. All these graphics are designed by the other Bitcoin Libertarian. So that's why I don't want to take the credit of this. I just read the data, analyze it, and show to the people, but I don't want to take the credit. And again, I'm pushing him hard. For sure, you're gonna know Andre when you're in Hong Kong. You're gonna know him. He's a very special character. It's like, but he doesn't like the camera, but he's very analytic and he knows a lot about numbers, about Bitcoin, about strategy and Bitcoin Treasury companies. In fact, this graphic that we have for most of the Bitcoin Treasury companies. Let me show. Not only for strategy.
It's a very interesting chart.
It's amazing, to be honest.
Because it's dynamic. You see the historical data, you see trends.
Let me put the cap. No financial advice, but we can see a smarter web company. We get history. As we see, for example, these are the new ones that you can see crazy movements. We also have Meta Planet that probably are similar to strategy because it's trading for long term. So we see the downtrend here. on the MNAV, on the stock price. We added Mara. So we study. This is the way that you can study with the MNAV trend, the stock trend, and again, I think that there is no second best to strategy. There is a new one, Satsuma, that I was approached to have them on the podcast. I need to see if it's real or it's not real,
We
but
need to take
this
some
is
time. Yeah, we need to take some time. Yeah.
we need to say more data. But again, this is the blockchain group that next Friday we are gonna be talking with Alexander in Spanish. So it's gonna be interesting. But again, so there are we need to analyze all these companies in a different way. If you want to understand how does a strategy, how does Marathon, how does Metaplanet or the Smarter Web company work, as if they were IBM, you will be crazy.
Yeah, guys, can I just share one more data point?
Yes.
So this one is the chart from BitBo about the compounded annual growth rate of Bitcoin on a 4-year basis. And what we see is that we are trading right now in a CAGR that is like almost historical low. Only, I think, in April 2024, in November 2024, we had a lower 4-year CAGR for Bitcoin. So coming back to what we said, and also Andre said, I think the chances of having some volatility spike on the upside is much greater than what people think, because the 4-year CAGR is at historical low. And as we can see, we normally, when we are in these ranges, we have some kind of spikes most of the time to try to go back into a more, performing range. Now we are trading literally at 22.3. We only had lower in 9 or 10 for like few weeks, but we are at historical low. So for me, there is no real, bearishness at this stage. We just need to be, cognizant of that, and probably the CAGR of Bitcoin on the 4-year time frame will expand a bit further over the next months. And it was something that I just wanted to add.
Excellent. So, anything else to add to today's stream?
Yeah, I think the last thing that I wanted to add is I don't know if you guys saw the news. I think it was from yesterday or 2 days ago that Nasdaq from now on basically we required listed companies that plan to fundraise and buying like Bitcoin or other digital assets to obtain shareholder approval. So there was like this news from yesterday, and basically there are they basically said that if they don't comply, there's gonna be some significant penalties, even like trading suspension or delisting, straight up delisting. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think about it. I mean, in general, of course, as a listed company, you always have disclosure obligations to your to your investors, but it seems like they want to step up and kind of like try to enhance, like security and in general let shareholders approve before purchasing assets. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's fair, to be honest. And I think also on that side, strategy was pretty transparent since they almost day one, in which they also, with the latest big 2021 plan and 42 plan, I think they expressed, and they asked also to shareholder to vote, and all the majority of shareholders were aligned. So I think it's fine to have a democratic, let's say, democratic process, because at the end of the day, if the company is diluting you and is not doing it properly, you can suffer a lot of damages from it. So I think it's fair that the regulators are requesting this new layer of transparency, and I think all the companies should comply, and all the management and the board should feel that is a mandatory approach to ask first to shareholder if they are aligned or not, and if they are aligned, then fair. We can keep doing the ATMs and buy more Bitcoin. But I think it's fair assessment from regulators.
Yes, I agree. I haven't read this this news, but again, if more transparency is much better, especially with these new with these new instruments that nobody knows 100%, and most of the things are developing in the in live. So all the metrics, all the things that are happening are developed live. So I think that if we add more transparency, it's gonna be better for the investors, for the companies, and for the whole environment itself. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough. And I think, yeah, since this trend has been growing in the past few months, I think it's only fair that there are more disclosures. The other thing that I wanted to ask your opinion about is, since we see more and more of these Bitcoin treasury companies, or in general, even for other assets, that are starting to trade at a discount to the asset that they hold, I'm wondering if we will see some kind of like acquisitions, or a trend where the bigger one buys the smaller ones. Because I mean, it would only make sense if their plan is to accumulate. It would basically mean to buy the underlying at a discounted price, if that makes sense.
Marco?
Yeah, I think it's a great and very valid point, Andre. I don't know. I think it's very complicated to go into an M&A and to buy another company, because it's not only, yeah, I mean, we just go superficially to say, yeah, it's below the net asset value, but again, a company has like obligation. They can have other form of debt. They have employees. They have maybe property rights. They might have buildings, some other offices, etc. So I don't know, unless, at least that's my opinion. So unless you have a very streamlined company with only very very limited things affecting the accumulation plan of Bitcoin, then it might be sense. I mean, makes sense to do an M&A. If not, I don't think it's reasonable unless the discount is massive. So I don't know, it's 0.5. Then maybe yes, if you are like a strategy or another big player, maybe it might make sense to do a merger. But then there is also the question of the ethics of the company, the mission of the company, the core values. There are a lot of complication that might be outside of an M&A. It takes a lot of legal activities. It takes months. I don't think, unless there is a massive discount, if it's 0.8, 0.9, I think there is no sense to make an M&A. That's my general take. And I think strategy said it. They are only focused on buying more Bitcoin. They don't want to do, M&A, etc. I think Metaplanet suggested it, that they are open to do it. So yeah, let's see. There will be different, approaches to the topic.
Yeah, Metaplanet, what they say is that they are gonna buy companies that not that are holding Bitcoin, but they're gonna buy companies in other markets, like in Korea, in Thailand, that they will use their playbook in these companies, but not doing companies that their MNAV is less than 1. So that's the thing. So that's good. So I think that it's all for today, right, guys?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, I think we covered quite some ground. Yeah.
Excellent. So again, thank you very much for being here. Sorry for the technical issues that we are gonna be fixing time by time, but again, this is live. We are our own producers, and as you may know, we do this because we like and to provide value to the community. So, Andre, what is your social media so our people can follow you?
Yeah, thanks. So my X profile is Hybris171, written HY Hybris171.
Excellent. And Marco?
Yeah, me as well, only on X at Battistoshi 93.
Perfect. And you both guys have a podcast, right? What is the name where people can listen to? Of course, after listening
Yeah,
our
to
podcast.
yours, of course. No, our
If
is
No,
there is
only
some
for now.
spare time.
Yeah, it's not a competition at all. We just
No
have a
way.
way for me and Andre to be connected because we are not on the same, city. So it's easier for us to do, let's record. And so we share ideas. So yeah, it's Escape Velocity podcast. And if you go on our profile, you can just see the link to our X page. And today I think we have to go out with the third episode. So yeah, it's just a friendly conversation among friends. That's it.
Amazing. And it's sometimes with a friendly conversation, you can learn a lot. So guys, to everyone who is watching to this episode, just go and follow them. Otherwise, I will get mad. So guys, thank you very much for your time. I enjoy a lot this format with three. I need to ask the last question to Andre because I asked to Marco, and as Andre is Italian, I need to ask the usual question that I do to Italian people. Pineapple pizza, yes or no?
For me, I've lived far from Italy for years, so right now I'm neutral. I say yes, whatever.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
So, excellent.
I've seen wars. I've seen wars, much worse.
Yeah, I lived in Thailand, so I remember when I lived in Thailand, you order the pizza to home and they bring you the pizza with sugar envelopes and with a lot of ketchup as when you order from McDonald's. So it's crazy. So
Better
again,
buying Ethereum than this kind of pizza, Fernando.
no, never Ethereum. Never Ethereum. At least pizza.
XRP, sorry, XRP is better
No.
than this pizza.
At least pizza you can eat and it gives you energy. Not the best energy as eating a steak, but it gives you energy. Ethereum, XRP, and all this crap just give you nothing. Just give you shit. So, guys, thank you very much. See you on Saturday. I don't know if Andre is gonna be with us on Saturday, but you are mostly welcome to join us anytime you want. And when you are in the city, just ping me. I will. Marco for sure is gonna connect us through the mobile phone. Ping me, and we are gonna meet. And you are gonna know the other Bitcoin libertarian, the guy who creates all this data and these graphics, and we can do much more things together. Again, guys, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, man. Talk to you
Thank
next
you,
week.
Fernando, and thank you all the listeners. Thank you.
And thank you very much to everyone who is on the other side. This episode is the first time we do live stream of Bitcoin Treasury Company. We are going to keep doing live stream because I think that the value that live stream does is much better. But we are going to upload this episode on Monday, 9 p.m. as usual in our YouTube channel, Libertarian BTC, in our Rumble channel, the Bitcoin Libertarian. And of course, Marco and Shuar Andre are going to upload the episode in their own X account. Thank you very much for being with us. Share this episode with the people you love. Share this episode with the people you hate, because we must reach 8 billion people to get into Bitcoin. See you in our next episode of Bitcoin Treasury Company Report, and in our other live streams that we are doing a lot. Stay humble, stack sats, and remember, we are all Satoshi.